captivating personality, and relentless pursuit of innovation transformed the tech industry. We will be talking about the same person, Steve Jobs. Known for his charismatic leadership and pioneering spirit, Jobs co founded Apple Incorporation and revolutionized how we interact with the technology. His ability to foresee market trends, coupled with his unique approach to design and user experience, has left an incredible mark on the world. Today, in the webinar, we delve into the life and legacy of Steve Jobs, exploring the traits that made him an extraordinary leader and an enduring inspiration for many entrepreneurs and tech enthusiasts in the world. I welcome you all for today's webinar. I now hand over the session to my colleague Arga, who will be introducing the panelists.
Hey, hi everyone. This is Arka Chakravarti. I am a learning facilitator. So I would like to welcome the panel member. We have Dr. Gerard Daniel. Dr. Gerard holds a LLM and numerous certification. He is actively involved in an occupational health consultant, industrial hygiene, ergonomic consultant, and a certified life coach. His diverse background will give a wealth of knowledge in our live discussion. We have Nasir Ahmed Qadir. Nasir holds a master in public administration and has extensive experience working as a lawyer in Afghanistan. His legal expertise and practical insight in public administration will provide a valuable perspective in our discussion. Lastly, we have Riti Mishra. She is our associate course leader at UniAthena. With her academic leadership and experience in educational administration, she will be a critical panelist to give her insight in this live discussion. So I would like to welcome all our esteemed panelists to give their insight in this live discussion, give their view on Steve Jobs and what they think on Steve Jobs' innovation, leadership, of delivering products, thinking the mindset of consumer, what they think from their perspective. We would like to see that from their insight. Thank you once again for joining this webinar. We would like to start right now. Tally, over to you.
Thank you, Arga. So, dear learners, we have been hosting webinars till date wherein we used to take an organization or a particular case study highlighting a certain function of the organization, and we would discuss it and try to find out or try to get takeaways from that case study. However, this particular webinar, we thought of taking a personality, and who could it be, is an institution and a repository of knowledge. And that is how we are here today, decoding Steve Jobs. Before starting with the questions and asking the panelists to give their opinion on the questions on Steve Jobs' life, I would like to give some information or rather set a platform to this iconic personality. In the first slide, we can see that his birth, his adoption, his education, and his interests have been given. Steve Jobs was born on February 24th, 1955 in San Francisco, California. Even though his biological parents, they were university students and they put him out for an adoption. And that is how his adopted parents, who were Paul and Clara Jobs, they adopted Steve Jobs and raised him in Mountain View. Somehow, his adopted parents could easily find out that his interest in electronics was unique, and they nurtured that interest. And that is how Steve Jobs became the Steve Jobs. Jobs attended Reed College in Portland, Oregon, but somehow the education was just not interesting him, and he dropped out after one semester. And despite leaving formal education, he continued to audit classes, which was calligraphy and other theatrical performances and kept himself on the campus. Somehow he had a very unique inclination towards calligraphy and he kept on his interest in calligraphy. And he had a profound interest in technology and entrepreneurship from a very young age. His passion for innovation and design led him to co-found company that we all know, that is Apple. Next slide, please. Yes. So we all know that Steve Jobs was not alone in his venture or on in his success. He had a very, very dependable and a very amazing personality called as Steve Wozniak besides him. And Steve Jobs met Steve Wozniak through a mutual friend in 1971 when Jobs was still in high school. Both of them, they shared their enthusiasm for electronics and computer technology, which sparked an instant connection between both of them. Both Jobs and Wozniak had deep passion for innovation and they wanted to make computing accessible to everyone. That is how in 1976, Jobs and Wozniak founded their first partnership and they started operating from Jobs' father's garage. This is a very unique and a very interesting fact that they started out of a garage. Next slide, please. So, as I already told you that they met here, Steve Jobs met Wozniak when he was doing his summer job, and both of them shared the same passion for electronics. And that is how they thought that, okay, let us make this whole computing thing very accessible and very affordable to all the consumers. That is all what they had in their minds. And they started designing a very unique product, and that is how they formed this partnership, which was called as Apple Incorporation. Next slide, please. We know that Apple has many products, and Arka, can I go? Can we go to the next slide, please? No, it's not visible.
Yeah.
So the Apple One, designed by Steve Wozniak, was marketed by Steve Jobs, and that was the Apple's first product, which was introduced in the year 1976. And this particular was a fully assembled circuit board and a very significant innovation at that time when personal computers were sold as kits. So people thought that personal computers were a big product and they were sold as a kit. And that is when Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak came up with this unique product in 1976. The Apple One was first showcased at the Homebrew Computer Club. And this club, it is a sort of a gathering of hobbyists and engineers who share the same passion. And this club is in Silicon Valley, as we all know. And this is how it was first showcased in this club. And all the like-minded people could get together and see the unique points or rather unique features of this product. And this event helped generate initial interest and support within the tech community. So people who knew about the technology, who knew about electronics, they could give their view or they could generate that initial interest, which was very, very significant for a new product and a new organization like Apple Incorporation. Can we go to the new? Yeah.
Is this the slide?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
And introduction of the Apple, it was, as I told you, it was a very revolutionary personal computer. Initially, people thought that it was a huge machine or a kit, but when Apple came with something unique, they thought all the customers could figure out that what was the difference between a personal computer and the Apple's personal computer. And initial fundings and sales strategy, it was gathered through local electronic stores wherein the products were displayed, and those electronic stores, they came and offered the help to Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak to display their products. That is where how the initial funding was generated. The innovation in user-friendly design and affordable technology were the key things that captured the customers' minds. And whoever used to visit the store and whoever used to uh, go for the trial, they could easily find out that this is far more user-friendly and I can easily navigate or easily maneuver through all the softwares or all the facilities that the product is giving the consumer. And this ultimately led to rapid early growth, leading to the development of Apple II. So Steve Jobs was very enterprising and very strategic in that sense, where he kept on launching the newer and newer versions of the same product. So if a consumer gets used to uh, the product, he is surely going to get a newer and a better version 2 years or 3 years down the line. However, there was a very tragic turn in Steve Jobs' overall career for professional and personal journey, where he started having a downfall, and he exited the same company that he really founded from the bottom of his heart, and it was his dream, it was his baby. However, he was forced out of Apple in 1985 due to the internal conflicts with the board members, with the internal management, and his views were just not matching with these board members, and that is how it resulted in Steve Jobs exiting his own company. However, he did not give up. Steve Jobs, as we all know, he was an amazing personality and a very resilient entrepreneur. He founded a very unique company called Next, and which focused on higher education and business markets, and that is how he made a comeback in the industry. And his struggles definitely were faced financial and market challenges because it was a very unique concept, and people had to be convinced, consumers had to be convinced, the funding had to be convinced, saying convincing about the product and the company. Over to you, Arga.
Thank you, Sally. Now, after the downfall, what happened? Like Macintosh and Steve Jobs returned. So what Macintosh did, actually in Macintosh, Steve Jobs introduced the graphical user interface operating system where there will be a mouse cursor and it was very much interactive OS. So Steve Jobs introduced that. Then he returned after struggling with Apple at 1987, and then Apple acquired Next. It also there was a story that it revival of Apple because of developing some of the greatest product, and which become which later what happened, Apple become had the market dominance, acquiring the industry leader at around that time. So some of the innovations we all know, first is iMac. Uh, we all know that iMac came up with a PC like design where it was very much colorful, very much user friendly, and it was very effective, very responsive OS, and it designed for the students and for the professionals. Then they come up with iPod. iPod basically has direct competition with Sony Walkman. So what iPod did, iPod was compact and it stores millions of songs in that compact device. So it also become one of the most innovative and one of the most uh, revolutionized product uh, at in the market. And last is, we all know, iPhone. The iPhone was one of the mobile phone which transformed the mobile industry. it was one of the first phone which has the touchscreen, full touchscreen with interactive UI, with a great processor, great interactive features, good OS, long durations with the phones. It was very good. And later, after iPhone became successful, later iPad came into picture, which has the same things but in a bigger display. So iPad was also doing great, and still we all know that iPad and iPhone are one of the greatest product that Apple has, and they showcase every year. So probably this year iPhone will be coming up with their 16 series. So these are some of the greatest innovation that Apple did when Steve Jobs returned. So first is the launch of Macintosh, which they introduced, as we told, that they introduced the mouse and the graphical user interface. So it was very much interactive. User can easily navigate through the OS, and they can do stuff very easily. Then the iPod, because of that, millions of songs can be stored in the simple compact device. And also they introduced iTunes Store, so they have collaborated with the musicians, and their songs can be stored in that iTunes. So user can enjoy the songs in that store. They can download the song and they can enjoy it. And later iPhone came, which was one of the touchscreen phone during that time. The first iPhone sold 6.1 million in the first year, and later, now, so as per 2020, 2.2 billion iPhones sold every year. So it's like one of the greatest phone till date. And after that, iPad also came into place, and iPad was one of the good product having good display. Apple also launched Apple Watches and AirPods, which is also doing well as considering the industry. Now the fall of Steve Jobs, as we can say, the legacy that he did. What happened? Steve Jobs faced certain step down from the CEO position in 2011. So Steve Jobs passed away on October 5th, 2011, leaving the legacy. So what happened? There was a change in the technology, and what Steve Jobs did, his legacy is still continuing. So countless entrepreneurs and innovators are coming, keeping Steve Jobs in mind. What what is the way, how Steve Jobs thinks, how Steve Jobs thought of coming up with a new product, what was the criteria of using a touchscreen phone, why not using a stylus in a touchscreen phone, why using a stylus in a iPad. So this kind of thinking, this kind of innovation thinking, only Steve Jobs had. So we will be discussing that in the live discussion today. Now we will be having the questions, and we have the panelists. They will be giving their insight. So the first question, from the considering the leadership, I would like to ask Nasir, Dr. Gerard, and Riti that what were the distinctive elements of Steve Jobs' leadership style, particularly in emphasizing design, user experience, and corporate culture at Apple? How do you think that his leadership style is actually impacting these factors? Nasir, can you give your inputs? You are on mute, Nasir. No problem. Yes.
You have my voice now?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and hello everybody. So his style of leadership actually had several elements, particularly this focus on design, user experience, and also corporate culture were the main and particular one. About the design, uh, himself believed that the design doesn't mean only about appearance, it's also about functionality also. Therefore, when he was developing iPhone, he was insisting that iPhone design must be clear and minimalist to one button. That at that time, comparing to other smartphones, it was a big change. So it became a groundbreaking product. So because of this simplicity and also design and functionality. The second element that was in his leadership, it was user experience. He believed that products must be easy to use. Therefore, his products were in a way that the users could easily use. For example, Mac OS X, for that purpose, he like designed in a way among the operating systems, it could be used very easily. So it stand out among other operating systems. And the third, so which is about the corporate culture. So in the corporate culture, he paid attention to initiative. So he was recruiting the most talented employees and encouraging them to come up with initiatives. Therefore, the products, when they were producing, made them stand out there and make them a brand among other companies. And additionally, attention to details, visualization leadership also made this leadership unique among others. Over from my side.
Thank you, Nasir. Dr. Gerard, what do you say
Thank
on?
you. Thank you, Nasir. Thank you, Sir Arga. So, when I was reviewing the life of Steve Jobs, based on the his biographer, they noted that there are three major characteristics of Steve Jobs that influenced him all over his career. First is uh, I am not abandoned. Number two, I am special. And number three, I am chosen. So notice that whenever he goes, actually in his first stint in Apple, he always prioritizes the customer. Actually, even in Six Sigma, the main priority is the customer experience and the customer service. He would try to uh, impose his mindset in that we always strive for perfection. We strive for excellence. Now, Steve Jobs, when some of the employees that were interviewed in relation to his biography stated that he's not actually having a problem firing or even bluntly stating what needs to be done. Whatever the circumstances or excuses may be, it just needs to be done. So notice that inculcating that mindset with the employees and even with the design, he's actually considered a visionary and a revolutionary in the sense that we need to create a product that would benefit the customers and the profit would consequently follow. Now, if we would notice, he departed from Apple because of political and board issues. Notice that when he was in already at Pixar, Apple dropped in sales to near bankruptcy. It is because during that time, the inculcated mindset of Steve Jobs was lost. But when he came back, notice how Apple grew to the second most important company in the world. So I believe that everything Steve Jobs inculcated with the employees has to be first with if you know you are right and you know what your customers need and you know you are at the right place, then nobody can stop you and there are no excuses to do what needs to be done.
Thank you for the great insight. Riti, any inputs on Steve Jobs' leadership style?
Yes, when I read about the Steve Jobs profile, so I came to know like the leadership style which was adapted by an Apple was very distinctive and multifaceted. And it when we are talking about the different elements like emphasis on design, so with regard to the emphasis on design, the Steve has main focus on integration of hardware and software. Also, he has given a very much importance on the simplicity. The simplicity means simply Steve Jobs campaigned the simplicity in design with an aims for products that were not only beautiful but also intuitive and easy to use. This is evident in the minimalist design of Apple products. Then when we talk about the focus on user experience, so the Steve has main focused on the user-centric approach. User-centric approach means simply Steve Jobs believed that in designing the product with the end user in mind. He often said that design was not only just about the things look, but also about how they work. He has main focus and main work on focus on user-centric approach. And the third element is the corporate culture. In the corporate culture, he had a very clear and a very visionary leadership, which he has adapted. He needs a very perfection, like Steve Jobs demanded excellence from his team, right? He was known for his high standard and the relentless pursuit of perfection, which drove Apple cultures of innovation and quality. So these are the basic elements which Steve Jobs has covered at the time of leadership.
And I also heard that sometimes he was very much persuasive
Exactly.
when driving some products, like when I think while developing the initial Apple II or Apple III, I think during that time he was very much persuasive.
Even
During that,
he was very focused on the collaboration also.
but
He,
later on when he returned, as Dr. Gerard said, that when he returned, he'd become a very different person. He
yes,
started thinking differently. He started focusing on the consumers and as well as on the employees also. So the mindset also changed when he this break between the two times, it changed him. That's what
yeah,
I observed also in the later stage.
yes.
So
The
yeah.
reason is that like he has a very strategic vision, right? He has a
Mm-hmm.
long-term thinking. He was never focused on the short-term gains, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the main focus is the long-term thinking and the market creation. That is the two major strategic vision which he has adopted. Okay.
Yes, and I think saw the same thing in Tim Cook's. That's why Apple is thriving the similar thing today also. The
Yes.
products are still simple. The designs are simple. Means it's very much user friendly. Nothing
Yes.
complicated. Nothing out of the box always.
Yes.
So let's move to the next question. So refining technology. It's a very good question. So how did breakthrough product like Macintosh, iPod, iPhone, and iPad redefine technology and consumer expectation under Jobs' leadership? So again, you can Nasir, you can give your thought. Yes, yes.
Yeah, considering his visionary and also revolutionary uh, personality, the way he was working and thinking, so his initiatives and also products brought revolutionized in different industries. I would just name some of his famous like products that revolutionized, brought changes in different industries. One is Macintosh, iPod, iPhone, iPad. So Macintosh, it introduced a graphical user interface. So made easy use a computer, a mouse. So it became like kind of user-friendly computer after creation of Macintosh. Also iPad. I remember when I was doing my bachelor degree, I was using iPod because iPod, I was like recording the lectures. It was easy instead of writing or recording something like in pen. So that was very easy. We were using additionally while doing like exercise. I was also using the songs that. So I was the user of one of the users. It was affordable and easy to use. So iPhone, we're also the generation of iPhone. iPhone merged with like a phone with different applications, which was one of the music and the other things. So it was also one of the revolutions. And iPad, which was the tablet. So it made easy the new to browse everything, to watch videos.
There is
A
another
portable
product.
thing.
It is not written here. MacBook. MacBook is also one of the
Yeah, yeah,
greatest product they had. It's
yeah,
very effective. The battery drive in a laptop is almost 20 hours.
yeah,
And very lightweight.
yeah. And also about the iPod, actually, even it's now developed to other like fields. We are having now child-friendly iPods in the kindergartens. Children you're using their for studying, for like child-friendly contents. So it also paves the way for more development. So you can see that all these products revolutionizes different fields, as well as also gives like vision for entrepreneurs on how to work. Over.
Dr. Gerard, any inputs?
So thank you, Arga. So if I can remember correctly, Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs first started with the blue box. They consider it as the birth of all Apple products. Now, if we would observe Steve Jobs is actually witty and cunning in the sense that he does not necessarily possess the technological prowess, but he knows how to sell. He knows how uh, to extract value and quality in each of the products he is actually starting. So with the Macintosh, actually during that time, if we would notice, it is not yet a trend to have a personal computer for each person. In fact, it
Exactly.
is just more for the office setup. But notice how Steve Jobs thinks. No? It actually defines revolutionary in the sense that he has a foresight of what people would need eventually. That's why we have this saying that uh, winners actually foresee and the others just react. So in the iPod, if I remember it also correctly, he took the extra mile of actually talking to the artists in convincing them to their songs be included. Because if I can also remember it correctly, if we were to download a particular song in a USB or a gadget, it would take us so many minutes just for one song. So imagine if we were to download 12 songs, but he envisioned it as we create something in that there are so many songs that the people could tap to. That's the program of the iPod. Then eventually, this when the time iPhone and iPod were envisioned, actually it is a good thing that even if he has a health condition that time, notice how his mindset and leadership carried on with the employees even after his uh, early demise. So, to answer the question, it is actually more of foreseeing or knowing what your customers or what based on personal experience, what would they need, and at the same time Steve Jobs actually listened to customers. Uh, he did not listen so much with the competitors, but he listened with the reactions, with the customer uh, trend. Because when when iPad rather was developed, the people in the technology sector nearly laughed at him because it was just a giant iPhone for them. But when iPad was released to the consumers, it actually boomed. So it is a good thing that Steve Jobs listened to the customers rather than the competitors.
Thank you. And Rithi?
Yes, Dr. Gerard has given a very, very good explanation actually. So the thing is when the time then Steve has sold like a single product. So at that during that time he uh, find like there is a market which needs different products, right? So that he can divide the like a big break to the products like in Macintosh, iPod, iPhone, and iPad, MacBook, right? Like that. So in the all the different products, he has put special characteristics, right, and special features which distinct each other and which helps to generate the sales of the market also, as well as the customer satisfaction. Okay. So, but if you noticed, but he has followed the common themes across all the products. Like he has focused on the user experience, he has focused on the design, he has did an like integration of the hardware and software, and the one of the most important point is that innovation and risk taking, right? Because he know that means Steve was not like afraid about the taking the risk and challenges, as as we already go through the profile of his. So he is a very good risk taker and risk bearer, right? So each of these products introduce groundbreaking innovations that disrupted existing market and created the new ones, which is very important when the Steve did the breakthrough of all the products. So that's it.
For instance, I know one of the moment, like when Macintosh came into picture, as Nasir said, it was a the graphic user interface was excellent. So during that time, this mouse came into picture,
Yes,
and
yes.
that the inventor, they came to IBM, went to IBM first,
Yes.
but they rejected those products because of the name, why it is called a mouse, right? But when it came to Steve Jobs, and he liked it, and due to that, this graphic user interface worked in a better manner. The integration was better. So this visionary thinking was also good. Another
Yes.
instance is they got the stylus, like the touch stylus, at around 91, I think, when and the phone was also there. So finger touch was not there. So Steve Jobs said that why need a stylus when we have the finger? So he rejected stylus because
Yes.
phone doesn't need a stylus, rather than we have the finger. But if we need a tab or an iPad, and during that time we need a stylus. So this
Yes.
kind of mindset was also there. He knows that which we need, as Dr. Gerard said, he was excellent in selling those. He knows which product will be properly marketed in the tech industry. So he knows
Arka,
all this stuff.
I would like to add something here. So during these marvelous products which have made a mark in the market, Steve Jobs was known to interact with his interns on a very special
Yes,
basis.
yes, yes, yes.
And he had very special interns in his organization, and he picked them, and rather he recruited them. And the kind of conversation and the kind of motivating conversation he had with these interns was amazing. And it led them to get the best out of what they had in their minds, and everything was contributed to these wonderful products.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. He personally means went to them and talked to them and look at their creativity. And due to that, Macintosh becoming PC is one of those factors. Because
Absolutely.
one of the interns said that if we can uh, target those consumers who are actually who will be using the computer as a personal computer, not as a corporate product, it will give a huge success. So one of the interns said
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think Sally, you can take for the next slide.
Sure.
Okay. So let's move ahead. The challenges, yes.
So we all know that Steve Jobs did not have a very rosy life and a cakewalk with all his products and the huge organization that he built. We all know that he went through several rough patches in his life. If we all could discuss that, what were the significant challenges Steve Jobs faced, especially first one when he was departed from Apple, his successful ventures like Next and Pixar, and his eventual success return to Apple. So, Nasir, if you can tell me um, that what significant challenge.
Okay. Steve Jobs actually encountered several challenges throughout his career that also tested his resilience, additionally, his visionary leadership. So it also later on shaped his legacy and also success in Apple. So when he just left from Apple, that he was co-founder of that, due to kind of internal political conflict or disagreements. He just left in 1985, the Apple company. So he went and he established Next company, where, however, for him it was not easy because it was costly at that time. Additionally, the markets were very limited, but still he could successfully generate some innovative technologies. And then when he bought Pixar in 1986, the animation company. So under his leadership, the Pixar, under one of the animation films, which called Toy Story, could succeeded. So after that, when he returned back in 1997 to Apple company, when Apple company was near to bankruptcy, under his leadership, he restructured the company, also streamlined the product lines, as well as he offered and created the technologies such as iMac, iPad, iPhone, made the Apple to be the leader of and the brand companies among the product and companies. So all these challenges tested his resilience and visionary, so shaped his personality throughout his career, and proved that he is very resilient against up and down in his life. That later on became like a lesson to other entrepreneurs. Over.
Thank you. Thank you, Nasir, for those insights. Dr. Gerard, what do you think? What could be the significant challenges that he faced during his several phases in life?
Thank you, Sir Ali. So, actually, when I was studying his life, I was actually shaking my head because his hard-headedness in terms of health. If he followed his doctors, then he would have lived longer, and his legacy would have been greater. No? In I would just like to add from the previous question that when everyone in the tech department or in the tech community was adding buttons, Steve Jobs actually reduced it to one button, emphasizing user experience. Now, going back here in the question, when we notice, no, I remember the saying or the philosophy that the greatest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. So he actually meant it, that he walked away from the company that he founded and created one of his own. Now, of course, there were challenges in terms of the next company. And I think he was just waiting for one boom for his career. And it actually occurred with Pixar, as attorney has said, that with the movies Toy Story and the like.
My story, absolutely.
And eventually, everything boomed for him. And it was during this time when Pixar was going up and Apple was going down. Then Apple bought next. Then eventually, he was an interim CEO for Apple. Then eventually became the CEO. I think he could, in terms of mindset, I have nothing to comment in terms of the mindset of Steve Jobs. But here's where we actually realize um, that we only have one life. We only have one body. So maybe during this, of course, he had mental health stressors during this time. Uh, it could have taken a toll on his health. Uh, but if we were to appreciate his life, despite the fact actually that he has a pancreatic cancer, he still, uh, despite on numerous medical leaves, he still attended some of the launches of the Apple products, showing that he's actually prioritizing his commitment with his vision, with his products, sadly over his health. So I think it's more of the philosophy and the mindset because if we were to recall, he hired the the chief of Pepsi during the Pepsi Cola wars to be the head of Apple. And when he got with the board, it was that particular hiree that actually replaced him as the top executive. So I'm sure he was hurt, but then he was not discouraged. He created a field of his own in the form of Next and Pixar, and eventually returned with all of the learnings, this time more matured, as the I think one of the greatest CEOs during his second run at Apple.
Absolutely, Dr. Gerard. The kind of challenges he had and the way he came out of those is what we can see. And as you said, that when he started Pixar, he had a lot of financial troubles in running the company. But when the Toy Story became a super duper hit, that is when his finances were recovered and he became more visible in the market. And that was something that he really regained his position. And as you said, that he came up as a more mature and a very I would say very visionary entrepreneur, and that is all we can see. Riti, can you add your views as well?
Yes, actually, Steve Jobs faced several changes, but my personal opinion is that two major changes or challenges which he has faced is power struggle and the management conflict. Steve Jobs had a conflict with Apple boards and CEO John Sculley, right? So leading to a power struggle. So it is this particular thing is a very challenging. Second is the resignation and loss of control. In the I think around 1985, Jobs effectively forced out of Apple, right? And the company he has co-founded. So this was a very major personal and professional setback. And then after that, when he leave from the Apple, then he launched Next and Pixar. While launching to the Next and Pixar, he also faced too much of challenges, like he has to start building from scratch. There is a high cost and the limited market in this limited market, and the technology ahead of its time. This is a very important point. Okay, even when we talk about the Pixar, also the financial struggle he has faced a lot because he developed a company like Apple, and after leaving the Apple, he has to rebuild and he has to start everything from the scratch. So that is a very challenging thing which he has faced. But when he come back to the Apple, so initially, as if you know, like the Apple is in a decline stage. Okay, when he comes, I think in the around 1997, he joined the company again. So initially, the company is in decline stage. The sales are in a very low side, declining slide. Then after that, he has again built a new strategy, rebuilding the brand also, as we discussed earlier. Like he has like innovate new other products like iMac and Mac. Okay, so these are the number of things or number of challenges which he has faced during his time, and when he returned also, he has also faced a number of challenges for uh, establishing the market again for the same product, that is Apple. But after struggling all the things, he come up and he gave a very good brand, very good product in the market, and that's why we discuss his profile and his we are discussing his theory in this live discussion.
True, true. Thank you, Riti. I really liked your first point where you said that apart from finances and other challenges, the biggest challenge he faced was the management control and the authority that he had over his own baby, his own organization, and he could see it losing out to other people who maybe as per his views had very less knowledge about the technology or less information of what he had created. So that was a very significant point that you raised, that was the biggest challenge for Steve Jobs when he departed Apple. Thanks, Didi. Now, one next question we would be taking is, what lasting impact did Steve Jobs have on technology and business practices? Because we know Steve Jobs as, we have been discussing about his personality, the kind of products he has given to the industry. However, what kind of impact it had on technology and business practices? Because he was also known to be a very aggressive entrepreneur or an aggressive personality. He was a very strong opinionated. So did this have an impact on the technology and business practices? Nasir, what do you think?
Yeah, actually, Steve Jobs uh, left indelible mark on the both technology and also business practices on how to produce, design, to do market and to consume. So his vision and also revolutionary products also brought changes. For example, if we take an example, one of them, iPhone, revolutionized the industry of smartphones. So this is one of the impacts that's still ongoing. And additionally, his design and also user experience, leadership style, that is elements of his leadership have also caused that now everybody like links with their products with the entrepreneurs, like consider while they're producing anything according to the easy usage and also design what according to the definition of Steve. Additionally, his brand loyalty. He made Apple a brand by making it according to customers in accordance or based on customer-centric approach. So based on that, so it became now an approach among entrepreneurs. So also innovative business models. The Apple Store revolutionized the business for like app developers. Now it's a business for them. So also corporate culture. So innovation culture now become a model for like entrepreneurs. All these still like can be seen. However, we are not very far away from his passing away date, but still I'm sure that it will last long and it can be seen in the future, these impacts.
Thank you, Nasir. I think the very significant point that you brought up was that he created benchmark for other entrepreneurs or other industrialists, that okay, I would like to have my organization like Steve Jobs, or I would like to have products like Apple. So that was a very lasting impact, which is still today, I would say, and it would go for more decades for sure. So that was a significant point. Thank you, Nasir. Dr. Gerard, what do you think? What impact did Steve Jobs have on technology and business practices?
Thank you, Ma'am Sayali and Attorney Nasir. So, but if I can recall it correctly, when the rest of the competitors in the technology business were adding buttons, Steve Jobs decreased it to one button. So maybe if Steve Jobs did not exist, maybe we are having keyboards for our mobile phones, no, in terms of the number of buttons. Now, in terms of the lasting impact, uh, I know the process of Six Sigma. I'm actually I'm actually smiling when I read the profile of Steve Jobs, because even if he is not a certified Six Sigma belter, he's actually practicing it in terms of the reduction of defects, in terms of perfection, in terms of uh, fulfilling and satisfying your customer. So the number one criteria actually is, as mentioned by everyone, customer experience and uh, integration and customization based on the user. So if we actually, in reality, when the single digit button was launched, now the rest of the technology company are actually imitating that design. Now, even up to the last point of his life, we noticed that Steve Jobs effectively, this time more mature. It's like Steve Jobs 2, version 2.0. He actually now effectively inculcated the mindset, including with the products of iPod and the rest of the products in terms of the iWatch, etc. So we would notice that even if he died early, the principles he gave actually carried on with the product. So if we were to learn from this, uh, we need to realize that if we know that something is effective, something is needed, then we just do everything in our power to make it happen and share it with everyone, regardless of all of the negative remarks and comments he is actually receiving. So if you believe in yourself, it will happen.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Gerard. I like the point when you said that he inculcated integration and customization in his products. So before Steve Jobs and before Apple, the overall industry, they used to I sort of launch a product in the market, and the customer was unaware, or they did not have many options, and they had to buy those products. However, Steve Jobs redefined it completely, or changed the whole scenario, and he started thinking from customers viewpoint, and okay, what would my customer feel, or how would he want to use this product? And that is how he brought into the customization, and that had a very lasting impact on the industry. Yes, thank you, Gerard. Dr. Gerard. Reeti.
Yes, Steve Jobs' impact on technology and business practices both plays a very crucial role. So when we talk about the technology, we need to focus on, I think, innovative products. As Steve Jobs has developed many products like Macintosh, iPod, iPhone, right? So he like simply introduced several groundbreaking products. Okay, so likewise, for running these products, we need to like enhance, or we need to develop, or we need to adapt a new technology. Second and most important point is the digital ecosystem. Okay, like Steve Jobs pioneered the concept of the digital ecosystem with the platforms like iTunes and the App Store. This particular approach has been widely adopted, leading to the creation of comprehensive ecosystem to other technical companies like Google Play or the Microsoft Store. So these are the basic impacts which Steve Jobs has put on the technology side. And when we talk about the business practices, so in the business practices, like brand loyalty and marketing is the retail experience, and his major focus on the innovation. And these are the main or important point or important impact which he has put on the business practices.
Absolutely, Riti. I agree that the brand loyalty which Apple has is simply amazing. And we can see a lot of videos and pictures when there is a launch of an Apple product, there are many people are waiting to buy the product. Yes, definitely, it has given a lasting impact with Apple Incorporation. From his vision, creativity, risk taking, and resilience. So, these are the terminologies that we keep reading and keep listening when we are uh, pursuing our masters or a management degree, or when we are working, or especially when we start having team activities. So these are some terminologies that we keep on constantly hearing. So what lessons can people like us take from Steve Jobs and Apple Incorporation? Nasir, what do you think? What would be some key lessons you would take?
Okay, actually, his approach and also his leadership style to business offers an insight for different management professionals, including me. For example, visionary thinking. If I would have a company or in current industry that I'm working, so I need to have like a prediction of possible productions that I will have, like for the future of my company or like industry I work in. For example, he had all like predictions for his Apple company, iPhone and also iPad. It was his like products that he potentially had in his view, for the future of his company. So now the professionals, management professionals, take this as an example. Additionally, emphasis on creativity. Emphasis on creativity. One of the things that I like it. Also, previously we also experienced with good supervisors in some projects that we work in, so that we were allowed to come up with our own inputs according to context, according to beneficiaries we have. So luckily we had a realistic programs because we were allowed to come up with our own ideas based on needs. That was very important. So we created according to our levels, according to like industry. Calculated risk taking, that's very important. If you're not taking calculated risk, it's not like to jump into a river that and you don't have any like calculation that you will be alive or not. Just having at your own level a calculation that allows you to survive or to develop. For example, for Macintosh as well as for his other first iPhone, he paid enormously. He took a very big risk. So this is a great lesson for everybody, not only me. So calculating a risk is very important, to be brave. Resilience, it's very important. His history of life, if you read it, you see that once from the company he established as a co-founder as his baby. So he knew what he's doing. So when he left, because he was had to leave. When he came back with experience, with higher level of resilience, and took the Apple to the high level of peak of development. Additionally, his attention to detail, perfectionism, according to the expectations of the customer, that I like it. So he was paying attention before releasing any product. He was paying detailed attention to see what is good or not. High level of standards. So user-centric approach, that I also like it. Whenever, inshallah, I will create like establish my own company. I will follow up all these like his approach is his leadership style. These are good. So
Absolutely. Yes, Nasir. Thank you for those insights. And if we break up Steve Jobs' life into different phases, right from a college dropout to a successful, I would say, entrepreneur or a successful CEO, or his these skills or these vision, creativity, risk taking, he has shown these qualities at each and every step. Who would think that a college dropout would have such kind of vision, but he did not give up, and these things he carried in each and every phase. What do you think, Dr. Gerard?
Yes, thank you, Ma'am Sayali. So if we were to, I actually remember the saying that dreams without action are just a wish. Now, if we would notice, anyone can actually dream, but very few people can actually see the dream become a completion, become a reality. So this is also linked to resiliency. This is where Steve Jobs, uh, he knows exactly. That's why at the beginning, I remembered what his biographer stated, that Steve Jobs' three main words were, "I am not abandoned, I am special, and I am chosen." So all throughout his life, he did that. At the same time, I think uh, what's a good thing about Steve Jobs is that he is open to learning other things. If we would remember, his influence way back during childhood was he, of course, he met Steve Wozniak with the technology team, and at the same time, he also is into arts. In fact, he did not enroll in Stanford, but he chose Reed College, wherein he would develop his creativity. And actually explored. He is open to learning. He studied the people of India in terms of intuition. He even practiced Zen meditation. So all of these things, even in calligraphy, that's why he stated that if it were not for the calligraphy classes, then Apple would just have a few fonts. So notice that Apple has so many fonts because of that. No? So all of the learning of Steve Jobs, he is open to learning. He knows that he is great, but at the same time, he is humble enough to acknowledge that I have so much to learn. So in terms of risk taking, notice that yes, we were discussing that indeed he is a college dropout. No? In fact, when I heard his biography, he is at the middle of the nerdy squad and the hippie squad. No? So he has a field of his own. uh, if he knows that the people around him cannot follow his trend or his pace, then he would just leave. No? He's a risk taker, and at the same time, we can see through his life that the one permanent thing in this world is actually change in relation to growth and development. So as some philosophers say, the moment we ignore change, that's the time we perish. So in terms of resiliency, I think I could invoke the action of the brain in relation to there's this part of the brain known as the reticular activating system, wherein whatever you think of, whatever you focus on, you would actually get. Now notice that Steve Jobs, of course, he has losses with Apple. At first, his next company did not push through, but he has that vision. He knows that he would be great. In fact, his biographer was surprised that uh, he approached that biographer to get his biography simply because at that time he was not that famous, but he knew from the start he would be great. So all throughout, despite the challenges, he stick with the vision. And I think as professionals, we can learn from that, especially in finishing our courses at UniAthena. Of course, there are bumps in the road, there are difficulties. But if we know our what, and we know our why, the how would automatically follow.
Very good explanation, Dr. Gerard. We should know our whats and whens and hows, and that makes our journey clearer, and we have a particular direction, and that brings a deep value in what we are doing. So, thank you, Dr. Gerard. Riti?
Yes, the management professionals, I think, can learn many things or many valuable lessons from Steve Jobs. When we think or when we talk about the vision, so I think the management professionals can learn like about the long term thinking, also the customer centric focus. Like when we discuss about the long-term thinking, then Steve Jobs focused on long-term goals always rather than the short-term gains. So this particular approach encourages managers or the management professionals to prioritize the sustainable growth and innovation over the immediate profit. And the second and most important thing is the customer-centric focus. So the vision should be very clear. Like we and every businessman and every product seller needs to understand and anticipate the customer needs, which is very important, because whatever may be the needs and the requirement of the customer, the products has that particular special features in that product. So with the vision, we can learn, the management professional can learn the long-term thinking and the customer-centric approach or the focus which the Steve Jobs has adapted. Second point, which is the creativity. So a very and the most important thing, as per my point of view, that is a breaking conventional boundaries. Steve Jobs was never afraid to challenge the status quo and the think outside the box. And so with that approach, managers should encourage their teams to question conventional wisdom and explore the unconventional solution. This is very important in creativity. Also, we can add like fostering innovations, attention, everything. But I think this is a very important point which every management professional should learn. The next point is the risk taking. So risk taking from the Steve Jobs point of view, the risk taking like first one is the bold decision making. As we discussed his history, so we came to know like how risk he has taken and how he developed the iPhone and all. Second, embracing failures. Steve Jobs experienced failures as we discussed in the initial slides, but he viewed them as an opportunities to learn and grow. So, meanwhile, the manager should also foster a culture where failure is seen as a valuable part of the innovation process. So, this is also a very important point which every managers or every professional should learn. And the last one is the resilience. In the resilience, a very important point which I have noticed and I learned, that is overcoming setbacks. Jobs faced numerous setbacks, including his departure from Apple, as we discussed. But his ability to bounce back and eventually lead Apple to unprecedented success teaches managers the importance of reliance and perseverance. This is the most important thing which I felt. So these are the basic or important elements or the points which we can or every management professional can learn from the Steve Jobs life. That's it.
Absolutely, Riti. Thank you for that insight that apart from
I
these
would like to add
qualities,
one thing, like
sure, Arga.
it's simple. Because of these qualities, he was the leader in that group when the founders was there.
Absolutely.
Because of his vision, his creativity, his risk taking ability, he was the leader in that group. Steve Wozniak was
Abs-
having a better technical knowledge, but because of this visionary, his creativity thinking, the risk taking ability, he knows what is needed. He knows what consumer need. He understand the market. See, there were two leaders during that time. One was Steve Jobs, one was Bill Gates. But somehow Bill Gates was not innovative. He was only doing the coming up with the product, and there was computer makers. His OS was integrated into several computers, but his product was integration of the software and the hardware and the way what consumer need. They don't want any kind of bugs, don't want to go to the service centers. These things he understand that. So as Riti said that he was very much consumer centric. So I think because of this, qualities, he was the leader. He came back during 90 after 98, and again he come up with that innovative products. So that's what we all should be having. We should be having these qualities. Yeah.
Absolutely, Sarga. And these qualities are, as I said in the beginning of the webinar, that Steve Jobs is an institution by himself. And had he been around, I mean, I'm sure that we would have seen more capable and more wonderful products from Apple. And he has definitely left a legacy for the company to create more and more innovative products. However, I mean, yes, he should have been here. However, unfortunately, he lived a very, I would
Early.
say, limited life, and however, it was very meaningful. I would like to add one more point here, that one more quality that Steve Jobs had was of introspection. When he was not sure which direction to take, he went for a trip, and he
Hmm.
explored the Eastern civilization and the practice of meditation. And he made some godmen wherein he questioned them about certain things in life. And he got a lot of clarity, and he went back. And that is when he bounced back, and the rest is the history. So yes, so there are many good qualities to learn from Steve Jobs, and here I would like to hand it over to Arga.
Thank you. So as we get the conclusion that the importance of being vision in the, we need to have a clear vision. We need to understand what the end consumer want. Based on that, uh, the product will be excellent. Same with the creativity, as we all know. Recently, uh, what MacBook is doing, they are coming up with ARM-based chipset, and the integration with their operating system, making their product excellent. And the same thing now is being implemented into the uh, Microsoft Windows laptops. ARM-based chipset is being implemented, and that is being created by Snapdragon. So this kind of creativity will help the competitors as well, because ultimately the end use thing is keep the consumer happy. So this kind of creativity will help the industry. Again, risk taking, yes, as discussed in the live discussion, uh, using the mouse. One, disregard the mouse because of the name. Steve Jobs liked it, and make the operating system more interactive in Macintosh, right? And resilience, yes, this has to be the most important, because every now and then everyone will be falling, but coming up, bouncing back from this failure is the most important thing. And as Sally mentioned, rest is history. If we come, if everyone can come back from the failure, understand what was the issue or the challenges, and rectify those, it will be very much effective, rather, I would say. So thank you once again to all the panel member for joining this live discussion, giving your insight. So before ending, I would like to give an overview on UniAthena. In the meantime, Sally, you can go through the questions and check the important question we can ask our panel member to, if we can answer them. We can take few questions, right? Yeah. So as we all know, UniAthena is an online edtech platform. It's offers educational program. So over 2 million users are enrolled in UniAthena. So as UniAthena provide flexible, affordable, and accessible platform, everyone can study here, everyone can get their certificates, their education. Over 600 plus courses are here, and more than almost 146 countries are enrolled in UniAthena. 10 partners are there, and it's a tech platform. We've offered masters, MBA, DBA programs. It was founded in 2019, and it is basically a subsidiary of the Westport College. So our partners are Aberta University, Unimarconi University, UCAM University, Girne University, CMI, SQA, CIQ, FEDE University, and Acacia University. The reason of why selecting UniAthena, because of the flexible payment. Learner can pay based on the progression of their courses. It is 100% online, so no need to coming to colleges and getting their uh, reading material. Learner can study at their own place and they can get their education. It is a self-paced platform, so learner can study at their own pace because of the job, their hectic professional life. It's very much, it will be easier for them to study at their own pace. It is accredited by very excellent university that makes UniAthena trustworthy. So there will be a personal tutor or an academic associate who will be helping every time to get their degree in an effective manner. So that if in case any learner face any kind of difficulty, the personal tutor will there to assist him out in providing him all the academical support. And last is all the entire courses are broken down into modules. So it will be easier for the learner to complete the entire course into modules and complete the course into given time. So this is the normal cycle of a learner. The learner will be enrolling. A personal tutor will be assigned and the personal tutor will be orienting, give them a walkthrough of the website, assignments, when to submit the assignment, everything. A C executive will be also there to keep them engaged in the educational in academics. Along with that, acad support will be also there for submitting the assignments. After the assignment get evaluated, the learner can enroll for the next module, and then after completing all the modules, the learner will be enrolled for the dissertation. Once the dissertation completes, then the learner can get complete the entire course and he can claim for the certificate. A certification support team will be there to help to claim the certificate. So this is actually the entire journey of a learner. So we have a global classroom around 120 plus countries. So basically these are the what learner thinks, and they have given their testimonial. You can go through the website and check them out. So if any of you have any queries, you can mail fatima@uniathena.com or admissions@uniathena.com. We have a number, you can also contact using this number. Thank you once again for joining this live discussion. Sally, any questions?
Yes, we have some interesting questions.
So Nasir,
Nasir,
Dr. Gerard and Riti, anybody can answer. It's now
yes.
your platform. I would like
So
to
the
know question.
first question comes from Mongi Charfidine. He says that if Steve Jobs is not now in, had Steve Jobs been alive, what would be his opinion for the current AI revolution? Artificial intelligence revolution. What would be, yeah. What do you think, Dr. Gerard?
Sorry. So I think I think Steve Jobs and Elon Musk would have a great collaboration if Steve Jobs were alive today, because they share the same vision and they share the same mindset in relation to leadership and the future. It's always the operative term, the customers and the future. So maybe I think if Steve Jobs were have lived a little longer, then maybe Elon Musk may have collaborated and maybe we would have reached different planets already if Steve Jobs uh, and Elon Musk collaborated. And at the same time, um, we need to I think Steve Jobs would uh, ensure that there is a check and balance in terms of how artificial intelligence can actually replace human thinking and human work, because that's the fear right now. Yes, AI is a great technology. The problem is how can you control it if computers and other cybersecurity issues will take over.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gerard. I feel that it wouldn't be surprising for Steve Jobs had he been alive, because this was definitely in the offing. And we as laymen, or we as the like in the world, we came to know about AI revolution
I
lately.
think
However,
Steve
this
Jobs
was
already implemented AI in the iPhone.
exactly
Siri is already there,
like
right?
this wouldn't have been surprising. He is already there. Yes.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nasir?
Yeah, actually, he would
Riti?
have. Yeah, if life allowed him like to live longer. So according to his leadership style and also his innovative ideas, approaches that he was managing innovative ideas, he could have reached very uh, could generate more technologies. Uh, like uh, like doctor said that our friend doctor said that also he could have collaborated with Elon Musk. Also, to even we could travel to other planets. Yes, even more complicated and or easy, friendly use technologies. So for the people's use, I think he could have done that. Especially like you mentioned for iPhone, you would have come up with a different like AI iPhone. Yeah, something like that. Over.
Okay. Riti, I have another question for you. Telek Avinash asks that the challenges lying ahead are and will be different from what Jobs faced. What do you think are the upcoming challenges that might crop up? Any idea?
The upcoming challenges, yeah, actually, the challenges which Steve has faced, that was a very different, right? And in the current scenario and in the current world, if we think, so the challenges we will definitely face, like as we all know, we are living in a competitive world, right? The finances we need much if we want to compete in the market. So we will definitely face challenges, but like he has faced challenges in throwback to the for the management, okay, leave the organization. So I don't think like we will going to face this kind of challenges in future, because now everything will be documented, right? So we will definitely like I personally don't feel like we will face the challenges like Steve has faced. Well, but we will definitely face other challenges. Why at the when we come to the point like in the point of view of the competition or the sales or the customer satisfaction, like that.
Okay, thanks. So as they say that the next war is technology war, so possibly there could be some challenges wherein the technology itself is going to throw some different ball games on us altogether. So that could be some challenges lying ahead of us. Dr. Gerard, I have a question for you. If Apple had well in the absence of Steve, what would have been different? What would have happened different is for the fate of Steve. So, what different world would Steve Jobs see had it not been Apple for him?
But maybe if we were to go back with his influences during childhood, these are basically categorized into two, either in the technology sector or in the arts, creativity, intuition. So maybe if Apple had been well in the absence of Steve, then I think it's either Steve Jobs would emphasize creating brand identity and at the same time creating value, no? Because uh, during that time, even up to now, the main problem with most of us is that we tend to chase money and compensation. We tend to chase sales, we tend to chase uh, whatever it is that needs to be uh, producing money, when in fact, we must first chase value. If we chase value, then compensation and money would commensurately follow. So it's either, if I think if Apple had been well, there's a high likelihood they may not have bought next. And of course, consequently, Steve Jobs would not come back with Apple. But if he were to come back to Apple, then he must have emphasized the brand identity and incorporate animation and digitalization in relation to his stint with Pixar.
Thank you, Dr. Gerard. I would like to thank all of you for your wonderful insights, opinions on this iconic personality, Steve Jobs. Arga, would you like to conclude?
Yes, so thank you for giving me this opportunity. So, first of all, thank you for giving your insight. Steve Jobs is not only one of the greatest iconic personality whom we follow for their innovative thinking, but also we followed for his leadership quality. So rather, we should be taking the qualities and move forward so that we can get some help from them. And thinking we will be doing another live discussion. So I would like to ask the learner to give some poll in the feedback so that we can come up with another live discussion with the one of the person you think suitable. So we can come up with that. Thank you for joining this lecture.
Absolutely. Thank you. Because of time constraint, we couldn't answer all the questions. However, all the questions were very interesting. And you can watch the recording of this webinar on YouTube, UniAthena's YouTube channel. And all of you who are attending today will be getting a certificate via email. Thank you, Nasir Kadir. Thank you, Dr. Gerard. Thank you, Riti. Thank you, everyone, for joining today.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. God bless us. Thank you.
Riti, you may end the session as you're the host.